Alright, good afternoon everyone. Today is Wednesday, November 30th, 2011. I just want to do a quick recap of all the trades that we took or didn't take or set up this morning in the live trading room. Let's start off with the results. 24 ticks, we got that right away. I'll show you that trade. That was our first trade. We got what we were looking for, and then we switched gears into training mode. Alright, let me just go there right now. You see, I've already brought this chart back to the open. We didn't have any opportunities right in here because the the bubble was not present. We needed a bubble to be present. All right. Once it opened up, I think we had a trade possibility right here, but I missed it. But I didn't mark it. But anyway, this was our first opportunity right here. All right. We had a higher swing pivot. We had a fresh bubble down here on the chop bands. Price pulled down to the BBC. We got in with an MIT order, and we took 2 points. I don't think price ever went against us in this trade. I think it just came down, filled us with our MIT order, and went right to our target. After that, we had another opportunity right in here. You see we had a fresh bubble right here. Higher swing, came down, filled us here. Price started moving up. Now this was right on a news event. I think it was existing home sales or something like that, pending home sales, I think, which by the way was multiples of what they were anticipating. So we were in the trade and we were profitable in the trade. It had moved 5 or 6 ticks in my favor, and I moved my stop up to break even, and I moved my target way out. Unfortunately, it came and got me a break even, and got me out of break even on that trade. It did actually go to the profit target, but it got me out of break even first. Then we had a bunch of chop in here. For quite some time we had chop in there. Alright, and then we started to move up. Now, where the market is right now, the big jump that we had in the Globex and in the pre-market, we are above our normal weekly zones, so we reverted back to last week's zones. And that's what you see right here. Alright, I was looking for a pullback here, a possible entry position, but we didn't have a fresh bubble for that. Once we got the bubble, we were too close to the bands to take the trade. So price moved off of that, and now you can see we are in our break period right here. So we did not take any more trades here from the 4-tick range. There is one that's starting to set up right here. Right now you see we have a fresh bubble right here. We need the BBC to get down below the elbow extension right here, below the box, and then we could short off the BBC. Now let's move over here, because I want to point a couple things out over here on the 2100 tick. We'll start there. Okay. On the 2100 tick, once it loads for us, I will show you. Alright. One of our partners asked how to trade off the this weekly trading zone. This was last week's weekly trading zone actually, and we do have, different partners have different ways of handling this. I said in the live trading room this morning, one way to do it. There's one partner that he likes to. He puts an order on here, and then he puts another one on here, and he puts 3 points risk on this one, 2 points risk on this one. That would put his stop up at 1241, and he looks to get a couple of points out of each one. In this case here, he would have gotten a couple of points out of both of them. What I had said is, I said that, I repeated that, and another thing that I had said was, when price was right here, I had said, okay, now right here, it looks like if the level is going to hold, what you could do is short right here at this with a point risk. I mean, as small as a point risk, and look for the thing to really have a decent move down. If you're wrong, you only risk a point. If you're right, you can make quite a few points on it. It turned out to be a good move. If you shorted there at 1239, it dropped all the way down here to 30, just about to 34, for just about a 5-point move, risking only 1 point. All right. Now, in addition to that, that was how to trade off the zone. But in addition to that, let me scroll back here, and I'll go over some of the other trades that set up during the morning session on this 2100 tick time frame. All right, there were a few. Now this is Mike R, one of the partners' trade setups that he does. He had brought it to the room, to the partners, and suggested that we do it, and it works well. In here, he's looking for the cycle to be down below 50. You have a bearish cross, you have a pullback up to the BBC, you short the BBC. So there was one. Now flip it around. Here was one on the long side. Flip it around again. Here was one on the short side right there. Flip it around again. And we're looking over here now. Right in here, but we wouldn't have done this going into the zone. Flip it around again. And here's another one on the short side. Nothing in here going into the zone. And here we are right now. So there's a possibility right here. Alright. That was the 2100 tick. Alright. Now if we jump over here to the 10K, there was a trade that I took on the 10K this morning. I'll show it to you once it loads. I ended up taking +1 tick on it, I think. But there it is right there. Now with the 10K, it's similar to the 2100 tick, except I don't like to trade into support and resistance or weekly trading zones. But you had your bearish cross here with your pullback up here. You had a bullish cross here with a pullback. The pullback was actually way over here. Cycle was out of favor of that. You had your bearish cross here with your pullback right here. This is the trade that I took. It went about a point in my favor a couple of times, and it was having trouble closing down below the MA1 right here. It ticked off the MA1 quite a few times, and it started to have trouble closing below it. So I got out of that trade with 1 tick profit. Okay, and I'm glad I did because it soon turned around. We had a bullish cross, attempted pullback right here, but it didn't pull all the way back. By the time it pulled back, it was going right into the zone, so there was no trade there. Rolled over, bearish cross, pull back to the BBC. You had a bullish cross right here, again going into the zone, so there's nothing there. Bearish cross with a pullback to the BBC right here. Alright. So you see the markets were all doing pretty much the same thing on the different time frames. Or the ES was doing pretty much the same thing on the different time frames. At least these two that I showed you. Over here on the 4 tick range chart, we need the BBC to get down below right here right now, and we're going to need a fresh bubble on that because this would have triggered in, so that would have been the first pullback to the BBC with this bubble. So we're going to need a fresh bubble on that. That's for all the partners. On the YM, we didn't take any trades on the YM this morning. The YM was pretty crunched up most of the morning because of the market movement. You know, we were looking for a bearish cross. We never got to pull away from the BBC. We had a bullish cross. Here was the pull back to the BBC right here. You could have gone long right there on that pullback to the BBC. Had you gone long on this pullback right here, had you gone long from 939, it went all the way up to 988. We'll just call it 989. 60 ticks or 60 points. That's $300 equivalent per contract. We had a bearish cross with a pullback right here, a bullish cross with a pullback right here. Now this was a high momentum bar, so we wouldn't have taken that, but we have a bearish cross right here with a pullback to the BBC again. This right here would be an opportunity. There it was an opportunity. Now that opportunity has run its course. Alright. I want to just jump over here and point one thing out to you guys. This huge gap. Hang on, once it loads you'll see it. And then there's one other thing that I want to show, just so everyone can appreciate it. Here was the huge gap right here. Alright, from yesterday to this morning it was about a 32-point gap up, and price moved up. It continued with the momentum on the way up, but you see up here we have these huge wicks and dojis right up here. So it would not surprise me to see this thing drop all the way back down here to 1218. Okay, that would not shock me at all. One other thing worth noting, our last swing trade trigger was to be long above 1172. 1172. That was Friday afternoon, but it would have filled Sunday night. Alright, so now it's Wednesday, 1172 up to 1239. Let's see, that's 18 plus 39. Well, it would be 57 points. Alright, the trade before that, before we put the beta trade out, went for 91 points. We were looking for an average of 34 points, and we nailed the 34-point average yesterday, I believe. And now we're above that average. We're bringing that average up a little bit on this trade right now. Alright, I wanted to point that out. And one other thing that Dwayne and I were, 3 o'clock in the morning while all of you were sound asleep, Dwayne and I were toiling over the possibility of a short trade, possible short swing trade, and I just want to show you how close it came. We were very close right here. We were within a couple of ticks of probably maybe within a point of triggering a short trade, but it was accurate enough that it did not trigger us into the short, and the close of that bar and the next bar suggested that we were going to move up. Just wanted you all to appreciate that, because last night when Dwayne and I were going back and forth at 3 o'clock in the morning, we were almost sad that nobody could appreciate it with us. Alright, that's it. I'm going to wrap up the recording right here and open you up for any questions.